The United Nations decision in 1947 to divide Palestine into two major parts, one Arab and one to become the future state of Israel, has not, of course, provided the peace and stability that were so long sought for in the Middle East. The Arab states have objected to the creation of Israel in their midst. Of course, it did mean a homeland for the Jews who through the persecuted centuries had been stateless. But in creating that Jewish homeland, thousands of residents of Palestine were displaced through personal choice, through war, through confusion. Rich or poor, they are now the stateless ones. Posters like this symbolize the determination of thousands of those Palestinians, refugees now, to one day return to their homeland. The lettering means revolution until victory. They are the Fedayeen, men of sacrifice. Israel is their enemy.
As concerned Americans living in Beirut, we must protest in strongest words the arrogant, unjustifiable attack by Israeli military forces upon civilian aircraft at Beirut Airport 28th December. Obviously, balance of power does not require additions to Zionist forces, and the sale of phantom jets must be reconsidered and withdrawn. Now, because some of you people were away and we couldn't hold a council meeting, we signed this, members of the Congregation of Community Church of Beirut, the main Swedenborg pastor. Almost everyone who went out the door that Sunday morning indicated support for this.
One point that you should remember, that the attack by the commandos, the Israeli commandos, was not against the government of Lebanon, but against private enterprise. The airlines are owned by Lebanese and by other nationals. It wasn't against a military installation. It wasn't against a defense installation. It was strictly against commercial enterprise.
I wonder whether the people back in North America are aware that the plane, the El Al plane that was attacked in Athens, ultimately flew back to Israel and is back in Tel Aviv, and that the planes here were totally destroyed.
But I think that there was a question of loss of life in the Athens aircraft.
Why didn't they bring this issue up before the Security Council as did the Lebanese, rather than retaliate in the way they did?
Basically, the problem as we see it is to prevent this from heating up and blowing to something even wider, and not just within this region, but internationally. That this is the festering spot of the world much more than Vietnam. The likelihood of a big power clash is much stronger here. And so to say, what is the solution? There's not any easy solution.
We're all hoping that they don't switch to the other side. Some of them have, and many others are thinking of it. For God's sake, we hope that they'll never do.
What do you mean, switch to the other side?
Well, switch to the communistic ideals, and what they stand for. Most of these Arabs are being taught in British, American schools. Western way of thinking. They speak English. They don't speak Russian.
As these people get Russian arms and equipment and they get good training and experience in the Viet Cong methods, there is no limit to the chaos they can cause in this area.
Some of us back up quite a bit on their methods, and we cannot support such methods of shooting up civilian airliners or leaving bombs in crowded marketplaces. However, Israel did a lot of that back in '48. We'll still remember the King David Hotel being bombed, and bombs sent through the mail, the British Post, and so forth. Still, no, two wrongs don't make a right, but we still have to look on the fact that these people are fighting for their homes and for their land, which they were kicked out of, and we can't help but have some sympathy for them.
I think this is a very interesting point that he makes, though, because I think in North America the people feel that it is Israel who is fighting for their land, you see. And in reality, it is not Israel that is fighting for their land. It is Israel trying to hold on to what they have taken through various military actions. And that These Palestinians are the ones that are in truth still fighting for their land.
You support what these young men are doing here?
We support all of the Palestinians, all of the Arabs, from all ranks and all professions. We are trying to support by all force, by all possible means, in order to go back to our country, back to our homes, back to our lands.
نهر الأردن. من نهر الأردن طبعا حنجتازه بطرقنا الخاصة وبعدين حنصل للمكان هذا.
Explain to me what he's doing now.
Yeah, our fellow, the lieutenant of this camp, explained to other fellows that all of them are going for an operation against Israel. Now he said that first of all we must cross River Jordan. Now he said he gave an order to the different fighters that everyone have a certain task.
The man I'm about to speak to is a member of the Palestinian resistance movement, and therefore his face cannot be seen on television. Can you tell me a little bit about the impetus behind this new spirit that's developing among the Palestinian refugees?
Well, many people do not realize that Fatah, our organization,
Al-Fatah,
yes, is not only a military organization, but rather it's diverting quite a bit of its attention towards caring for the people, whether socially, medically, educationally, and otherwise. So in every camp, we are endeavoring to put a place for our people, for the service to our people, and a clinic. And of course, as the school you mentioned.
All of these girls are Palestinians. Some of, from different towns in Palestine. Some of them come from refugee camps. All of them have lost either their father or their brother.
This is the only condition for them to come to this school.
The one who supports the family is a martyr. Has died during fighting against the Israelis. All those girls have lost either their father or their brother. All of them. But they're all proud of it. They can tell you themselves if you ask them.
And what is this picture?
And this is, the map of Palestine, the whole of Palestine, and it has been made by those girls from wool.
Do they understand the political implications, the political reasons?
Sure.
What is their feeling about the political situation?
Well, they're sure that they're going to fight, they're going to join the Fidaiyin, they say themselves, and liberate Palestine. There's no other solution. All of Palestine, not only the West Bank.
What subjects?
Arabic, mathematics, history, geography, sciences, religion. The curriculum is exactly that of the Jordanian government.
Do you teach them to hate Israel? How do you go about this
We teach them that the Israelis have done us wrong. We teach them that we are not against Judaism itself. I mean, it's a religion. We are against Zionism and all that it stands for. We are against the country Israel, which is based on Zionism.
Fidayeen works like other people to return their lands and to return to their homes.
Do many people believe in the Fedayeen?
Of course, all of the people here, of the Palestinian people, likes the Fidayeen.
هون نحنا هون لوين بدنا نروح يا قلبي يا مشبع بحجارة بعلبك عالدهر عسنين العمر هون نحنا هون وضوء القمر مشلوح عأهلنا الحلوين عبيوت غرقانين بالعطر بغمار الزهر هون رح نبقى نسعد ونشقى.
After the war, the Jews destroyed my home and I came here and I live in very bad situation here in tent.
Are you anti-Jewish?
Yes, I am, of course.
You're against the Jews, or are you?
I am against the Jews, and in the future I may join with the Fidayeen.
Fidayeen, well, technically it's, men of sacrifice, who are willing to sacrifice themselves to get their homeland back. I arrived in September, Middle East.
Did you have any prior conception of what the conditions were like?
Well, I did as much research as I could in the States and looked through photo files and read books and so on, but nothing...
Did you know anything about the people?
No, nothing except that I'm of Lebanese descent and that, the people in the States have this conception that Arabs are listless and spineless and lazy and dirty.
And what's your feeling now?
Well, they're very kind and gentle, and all they want is peace, and they want to go home, and that they're here as victims of, a bigger conflict, is something that's not of their making. It just happened, and all of a sudden we have 56,000 of them right here in this camp that live in the mud and look forward to the day when they go home.
How long are you going to stay here?
as long as I feel I can do some good. I'm working with them. I come here as a photographer at times, and at other times I come here simply to help in the camp, to help the kids and to play with the kids and help with art instruction and talk to them.
You're a do-gooder.
I'm an Arab.
How long can they put up with this discomfort here of living in these tents? How long can it go on this way?
That is an impossible question to answer. I don't. It can't go on indefinitely. I mean, look at the conditions around us. Who can live under these circumstances long? Something is being done to put up shelters, but the shelters themselves are not really much better. All they'll do is to keep out the worst of the weather.
What's your attitude toward the Fedayeen and the work of the commandos?
Well, everybody agrees that what they are doing is to fight for themselves. That is to say, for the Palestinian people. If you were driven out of your country, you would probably do the same thing.
This is Beirut. Many refugees have taken up their lives here. Up where the wind whistles in the high-rise luxury of wealthy Palestinians, funds are raised to finance the operations of the Fedayeen.
Fedayeen war is not merely just fighting on the front. You know, it needs all kinds of background work, and I think every Palestinian is helping within his own means.
Someone told me that every Palestinian devotes 5% of his income to help.
Some of them maybe paid more than 5% to the commanders al-Fidaiyin. My sons, who just, their age is about 10 and 13 years old. They are just sparing from their expenses to support and to give all of what they are just paid for the commandos.
The story of resistance is the same all over the world, the same for all peoples. There is a logic in resistance, an internal logic of the resisting people, and an external logic of the aggressor people. And the two logics are bound to produce one result, which is the result of unanimous, comprehensive resistance.
It's been a sort of, we've all become shells in a way. All the lives that we built after 48 have just been knocked out inside, and one's eating ashes. It is frustrating. If we were a developed society, we wouldn't have had our country taken away from us and given to somebody else. People were, look, if we hadn't been apathetic, if we hadn't been disorganized, it would never have happened in the first place. It would never happen to any developed society. You don't take a people's country away and say to them, now you go. We don't want you around. We just want to put somebody else in. This part of the world is part of the third world. We're in a mess because we're disparate. We're sort of scattered. You see, we haven't yet learnt how to tap our own resources, our manpower resources, and weld them into the structure of the state, the university, the school, whatever you like. Abu Ammar is a manifestation of a consciousness, if you like. He's the tip of the iceberg, but the iceberg is there. And it's broken away. It's moving. You see Abu Ammar, but underneath him you don't see thousands of people who are supporting him entirely and who are trying in their own lives to do something that will indirectly support him.
My principal work is a fighter in this movement. Fighter for freedom, to return back to my home. And nothing else. It is principal position, my principal position. And second, my fellows elected me to that. Our principle is very simple and clear too. We depend on some items to explain our philosophy. First, I think that we are not against anybody. We are not against any religion. We are a liberation movement. We are asking only to return back to our homes, from which we had been kicked out by a great force supported by colonialism and imperialism and Zionism. These items, as I told you, that our movement is a Palestinian movement from its face, but its heart is an Arabic one. We are one family. We don't need for certain, maybe we have some military rules just to control our fellows, which are spreading here and there, many, but
well, some American magazines very recently have been criticizing the movement. I've been describing it as a ragtag guerrilla force, completely incapable of even hoping to cope with or to conquer, to reach its objective.
Every revolution has its own problems, its own obstacles, advantages and disadvantages too. And we know our advantages very well.
So what relationship do you feel, for example, to the guerrilla revolution or the guerrilla warfare in Vietnam or in Algeria?
We can't say one revolution, but we learn from all the revolution, and we take from every revolution the suitable way which can support and which can push our revolution.
Would you accept the United Nations resolution of 1967 or the, for example, the Russian proposal for peace? Would you accept that?
You see, very important thing. No person can speak by the name of my people. This camp only can speak. First of all. Second, we believe that the only way to return back to our homes from which we had been kicked out 20 years ago, we waited and waited and waited for the United Nations, for sympathy of the United Nations, its assemblies, its all resolutions, but you see the results, more refugees and more refugees. After June War, about 500,000 from my people increased the number of our refugees. We believe that nothing will make any advance or any help to our case through the United Nations, first of all. We believe, second, we believe that the only way to return back to our homes, to regain our rights is the revolution. The third thing, that we don't accept any regime which don't regain back to us our complete right and home.
Al-Fidaiyin, in fact, have become the hope of the Palestinian nation. You know, the whole Palestinian movement sprang from the desire of this nation to survive.
Are there students who are fighting with them?
No, many students.
Definitely there are many students, and the whole movement is based on intellectuals and on educated people and professionals. They are coming from all over. You have some from Germany, you have some from Lebanon, from all the universities.
This is interesting because someone told me the other day that the Palestinians look upon themselves as the new Jews, as a... What's that?
Well, we've been called that, yes. Toynbee called the new Jews that were created after the June War.
The parallel you draw there is that we want Palestine as well as the Jews, you see, and we are willing to fight and die for it. I mean, if you call us the new Jews, in that sense, by all means, do.
No, I think the point is that we do have a cause and that we are fighting to get it. Now, we feel that ours is more just. You cannot base a whole fight or a whole dedication to a cause on something that's happened 2,000 years ago. I mean, the kingdom of Judea and all that. But we feel that we have Palestine and we lived there and we were born there and our parents and our great-grandparents were born there. So you sort of have a closer tie with the land, and that it was an actual thing and a separate independent state.
If you had the opportunity to go and fight, would you go and fight?
Yes.
Certainly.
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 I'm a man who was drifted out twice from his country. I first lost my home in 1948. I came and built another house with my family. And again in 1967, I had to suffer, to be thrown outside my own house. And I've lost my country now, from the river to the sea, from the sea to the river, actually. We always thought that the world, I mean, understanding all the international powers that are playing in the whole world, would understand, I mean, our problems. But we came to a conclusion that it's our own problem. It is, of course, an Arab problem, but basically it's a Palestinian problem.
Dr. Davis, do the American people at large, I mean those of them who are not under any pressure or coercion by other elements, do they realize that they and the Arabs both lost the June War and that the Jews and the Russians won it? And if the American people don't appreciate it, how best do you think you can wake up the conscience of America, open its eyes and ears to this absolutely dead fact?
In answer to the first part of your question, I'm afraid they don't realize it. The mass and the rank and file of America. I think education is one possibility, but crisis will do it much faster. And it's a dangerous process, a dangerous game. The Fedayeen movement, it seems to me, is somewhat accelerating that movement towards war. And it's a movement that, it seems to me, places the two great powers more opposite each other than they have been. One more closely aligned with one side and the other more closely aligned with the other side. And it's this, I think, that should worry all of us about the danger of a major war.
Don't you think yourself and other humanitarians in America, people who've got big hearts, can help bring back the problem to what it really is? The Palestine problem is not a Cold War problem between Russia and America. It's been made so. Leave the Cold War, leave Russia, leave communism, leave America and its mistakes in Vietnam, leave all these things. Let's come back to what the basic problem is. Do you think if the Arabs insisted on this problem and really went out to the Americans, they would get somewhere in their arguments, or are the Americans blind even to this?
Well, I don't think we dare just assume that nothing but war can be resorted to. And I tried to indicate that I thought that we should seek diligently for another out. I don't know whether there's time. I don't know whether it will be done.
Well, if that is not enough, what would be enough? I mean, doing our homework is not enough. Oil is not enough. What would be enough? I mean, we don't want brinkmanship.
The forthcoming assembly that will be held in a couple of weeks is the 5th National Assembly of the Palestine Liberation Organization.
Can you give me a date? Can you give me a date for that?
The date hasn't been fixed finally, but it will be somewhere between the 19th and the 28th of the month, most probably. of this month. This assembly is special in the sense that all the guerrilla groups are represented in the National Assembly, and they will be represented in the executive committee that is the top leadership of Palestine action through the PLO. My expectation is that we'll have coordination among the various Fedayeen groups at this stage, and that a little later, when they get used to each other, to taking decisions jointly and to discussing things on a day-by-day basis, they will ultimately have enough confidence in each other to accept a unified command.
Are the refugee camps a source of Fedayeen?
You see. Thanks. Please.
So much hospitality. Thank you. You see, tea is I take it tea is a national drink.
It is custom. Thank you. Yes, I have heard about it.
Or wasn't it? The refugee camps are a source of Fedayeen, a source of guerrilla fighters.
You see, the source of the Fedayeen, of the fighters, is all my nation.
But some do come from the refugee camps.
Not only from the refugee, all my nation. From the cities, from the camps, from the field, from the factory, because it is the revolution of all my nation.
Do you really believe that you can win this war?
Definite we will win. Definite. You see,
because the odds are so overwhelming. The odds are so powerful.
Yes, he's right. In Vietnam, you see, the power against the Vietnamese is very strong too. But as you said, as you see, they succeeded. Till now, they have very good.
But the argument there is that they have a better terrain to fight from, better cover and better. The jungle provides a better home for guerrillas than.
But we have ours too. We know our, as I told you, disadvantages and advantages. And the disadvantages of our enemy, and his disadvantage too. Till now, I am satisfied.
The charge is still made, and I'd just like to get your answer to it once more, that you will push the Jews into the sea. Who said it? I can't remember who said it, but I know that I've heard it.
It is it's false to think. No, we shan't push anybody. We hope that they are pushing us to the sand, but we shall not push anybody to the sea. As I told you, those persons, those citizens, those people who want to live in peace and friendship as citizens with complete right, they are welcome. There is no place in this liberated land, no place to racism or haters. Don't forget it is the land of Jesus Christ, the prophet of peace. Don't forget it.
فخاف